Looking to build on their first trip to the Super 6 in 22 years, the Auburn Tigers take on Kentucky. Fresh off a season-opening win at Oregon State, Auburn is now ranked number 7 in the nation. SEC Gymnastics from Auburn Arena. It's the Tigers and the Wildcats right now. Welcome to Auburn Arena, Auburn, Alabama, for this top 25 Southeastern Conference matchup. The 7th-ranked Tigers and the 21st-ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Jeff Shear along with the All-American Megan Walker, and it's a young Kentucky team, Megan, coming in to Auburn after winning their season opener against Ball State last week.
Yes, Kentucky, you can see it has 17 last week of its 24 teams were all freshmen, and Auburn has the same thing going. A lot of freshmen are going to be out there today. And
a huge season-opening win on the road for the Auburn Tigers out in Corvallis, knocking off number 12 Oregon State in that 196.175, the second highest score in a season opener in program history. So here's the way the Tigers will line up on the vault. The freshmen Megan mentioned, Krippner, Engler, and Phillips, along with the veterans Demers, Rote, and Caitlin Atkinson.
Yeah, you can see those freshmen starting to make an impact right at the beginning. 3 in a row, and then your upperclassmen finishing off the first event.
Jeff Graba, the coach of the Auburn Tigers, 3-time SEC Coach of the Year, including the previous 2 seasons, his 6th season here at Auburn.
Definitely pretty impressive. That means he's only finished 5 years here, and 3 times his peers thought he was the best in the conference.
Quite a resume for Jeff Graba. And for the Kentucky Wildcats, it's Tim Garrison in his 5th season, and he led the Cats to their 2nd highest program team total of just a year ago, 196.575.
Yeah, he's definitely created a competitive team, and as you can see, all the teams in the SEC are up there in rankings, and this should be very competitive.
Okay, so the Auburn Tigers will start out on the vault with Kentucky on the bars in our first event of the night. What's going through the mind of a freshman gymnast in their first event at home?
Definitely a lot of nerves, hopefully a lot of positive energy. As you can see, it's Taylor Krippner here right now, and she just looks like she's getting ready to go. They're going to be excited and adjusting because club meets are nothing like college meets.
What's the scouting report on Taylor? What are her strengths?
She eventually will be, I think, an all-around gymnast here, but right now I think you'll definitely see her on vault and bars today.
So here we go.
Definitely very good start for the Tigers. She did a beautiful Yurchenko full, and that's important to know because that Yurchenko full is different, a different score than it was before. So the Yurchenko full used to start at a 10.0, but they've devalued it. It is now a 9.95. So even if she stuck that vault, the max score she could get is a 9.95.
Over to bars for Kentucky, and it's the senior, the only senior in this event for Kentucky, Marissa Buechler.
She's doing a blind change there into what's called a Jaeger, directly into an overshoot, so it's a good combination. Just a shame there. It's a full-in dismount, so she was trying to go really high on it and just didn't get quite enough rotation to really get the finish she wanted. As you can see, comes off just a little bit, a little close to the bar too, but her arms and her body just aren't in the right alignment when she hits the ground.
So deduction looming for Kentucky there. Now we go back over to the vault with Emma Engler, another one of these fine freshman gymnasts for Auburn.
Beautiful vault from Emma Engler. She stuck the full, she looked confident doing it nice in the air. And it's good follow-up to Taylor Krippner's 9.775. You can see she has good open hips in the air, sees the landing, and just knows when to press it through.
And you see the big smile. You talked about all those nerves and butterflies you feel before that first event. How much does it lessen those burden once you get it under your belt?
It is a flood of relief. You just get done, and then especially Kurt's very great at having awesome reactions. You can see him on TV all the time, assistant coach Kurt Hedinger, and that reaction you get from him means a lot.
And this is Alex Highland on the bars for Kentucky, and you mentioned Krippner with a 9.775, the opening vault for Auburn.
So you'll see on this event today, in the last routine, you could see that they did 2 release moves. The girl did 2 release moves connected right back to back. So one of the rule changes this year is that the gymnast either has to have 2 bar changes connected or has to have a bar change with a major release. And that will make it so that she can start at a 10.0.
And we see Buechler with the tough landing there, cost her with a 9.5.
Yes, it's not as bad as it possibly could have been. She didn't totally fall down, so she saved herself some points there, but Kentucky will definitely want to hit the rest of their sets so they can drop that score.
Meantime, the Emma Engler score there on vault, 9.825.
And they had an excellent recovery. She swung that routine, looked confident doing it, hit those handstands, and stuck the dismount. Really nice. Only thing there is her chest was a little bit low, but those things will go away as the season progresses.
And you see the big celebration from her teammates. Well, let's check out the history between the Auburn Tigers and the Kentucky Wildcats while America Phillips is ready to take her turn on the vault. Kentucky with the lead, 19-15. Their last meeting a year ago, Auburn won in the SEC Championship, with Kentucky getting the victory in the regular season.
Another great vault. She couldn't stick the landing. She is just known for having so much power. And you'll see it'll probably reflect in the score how much distance and how much height she gets when she goes. You can see on this entry, she gets up and really high off, knows where she is, but she got some distance away from that vault.
So would you say the freshmen went 3 for 3 and did their job?
Definitely. They definitely got out there and got Auburn out on the right foot.
And Miracle Phillips, an in-state gymnast from Enterprise, Alabama. Maybe an hour-and-a-half drive from the Auburn campus here. So the freshmen coming through, doing their job on the vault. And the seasoned upperclassmen will fill out the bottom of the rotation in this event and back over to the Kentucky Wildcats, and that's Danae Davis.
Looks like Kentucky came back really solid and had a 9.75 after that first mistake from their first gymnast up, Buechler. And that will definitely help the third gymnast kind of settle down a little bit, knowing that her teammate before her did her job.
It's Katrina Coca with that 9.75. Coach Garrison.
Sometimes it just takes a little time for the judges to get going in between. So unfortunately that makes the gymnasts have to wait, makes those nerves get a little bit too high. You have to make sure you stay calm in your bubble, as lots of teams like to say.
Well, let's talk about Auburn's schedule for a minute. They were out on the West Coast, down in Oregon, just Sunday, just a few days ago, fly all the way back, compete, and now they've got another meet. So 3 meets in 8 days, Sunday in Birmingham against their arch rival.
They do. They have a quick turnaround. They'll be in Birmingham on Sunday against Alabama, and which really means over the past week, Coach Jeff Graba and the assistant coaches have had to manage the girls and make sure they're not doing too much in the gym, but doing just enough to make sure they stay sharp and clean, ready for 3 meets in such a short time.
Danae Davis. And right before the meet here at Auburn Arena, The university honored the Super 6 teams, the two who have been for Auburn, and that's the 1993 team and the 2015 team, of which you were a key member of, and now you will be permanently memorialized here with a nice banner in the gym. As the Kentucky Wildcats are back.
Has a very nice handstand. Good, she caught her first release. Called it to Tkachev. Nice, good form on that overshoot. Hit the handstand nicely. Just a little short on that handstand. But winding up the dismount here. And a full twisting double layout. Nearly stuck it and hold on to that stick, but that's a really impressive dismount. It's very difficult, and you won't see it very much in the NCAA. That overshoot that went right to handstand. See her wind up, very technically correct in that dismount, that full twisting double layout. Nice open hips, and if she can stick that consistently, it'll be a big score for Kentucky.
For Katie Stewart. And Miracle Phillips with a 9.85 there on the vault.
It's a great improvement from last week, too. Alexis Demers just went, and that was another great vault. You can see she's kind of in the past year become known for her vaults and being able to just stick them, have nice form in the air, and she did the same exact thing right then and there.
And a big smile there for Alexis Demers.
She's clean all the way through, sees that landing, and gets those heels together, which is another important thing in the rules. Got to get those heels together when you go to present.
So a great start for the Auburn Tigers on the vault. Alexis celebrating, and now Alex Highland will be the next competitor for the Kentucky Wildcats on the bars. And here's their scores last week against Ball State. What jumps out at you there?
Well, you can see they went 49 on vault, which is definitely a good score. If you go 49 on all four events, you got that 196 mark, which is definitely a good tier to hit in the NCAA gymnastics world. And then bars, you see they had a 48.75, so they're going to want that to be a little bit higher. And hopefully when they hit the rest of their routines, they'll get to drop that first score, and they'll be well on their way.
A home win last week for Kentucky against Ball State. They go to LSU next week, so back-to-back road trips for them. And the score there for Katie Stewart on the bars, a 9.825.
And the scores keep climbing, which is great. You can see that's kind of how coaches align their lineup. You want to see this gradual increase in the scores. You hope that that's how it will go, and that seems to be the case for both teams.
As Alexis Demers, the judges are in with a 9.9 for her vault.
Hitting that 9.9 mark with the fourth gymnast up, that's great. Leaves room to climb for MJ Rote and Caitlin Atkinson that will finish off that lineup. Blind 1.5, not sure she meant to do that. It seems like she meant to do a blind full, and it just wasn't quite on top of the bar. So unfortunately she tried to cover, but the connection probably meant she just had to get off the bar. So definitely not what she would have wanted there, but she has the chance to recover, and that's part of the beginning of season. You just learn to work through the mistakes.
How difficult is that for a gymnast when you make an error like that, to put that out of your mind and keep going? Play the next play, as they say in other sports.
And as you see, she did the blind full into her ganger, so that's good. She recovered it. And it's really difficult. It is. It's something you really have to learn. Hopefully you learn it as a freshman. That's also a big part of what freshman year's for. Just learn how to let one event go, move on to the next, and do what your team needs you to do. Probably just a bit fatigued from the fall. It takes a lot out of you, it really does, and ended up putting that knee down on the dismount. So they will, at this point, count the first score with a 9.5. So probably should have been a little bit more tucked on the second flip in that dismount, and if she had, she might have been able to get the rotation under, but it's okay.
Alex Highland, one of the many freshmen for Coach Garrison and the Kentucky Wildcats. And here's MJ Rote on vault.
MJ didn't pull off the landing on that one, but you can see just now that how huge her vault is. It goes high, it goes far, and it's always impressive. You can just see she almost goes out of the camera frame because she gets so much height. But sometimes when you get that much height, it's just hard to control. So as they go through this season, they'll start to figure that out.
And how much will that little step at the landing cost her?
She took a step. It was pretty big, so they can take up to 2/10 because she also stepped that foot back. It all just depends on how they feel, basically, about the routine itself.
Will MJ be pleased with
No,
that
she
one?
won't, especially knowing MJ had the pleasure of being on the team with her, and she wants to do it perfect. But isn't that all of us? They just want to hit that perfection. The score says she got a 9.775, so they definitely took that 10th. It probably averaged out to about 10th and a half for the step she took afterwards. But they have good scores earlier on in the lineup, so they might drop it.
And this is Corey Reckenmacher now on the bars after Alex Hyland scored an 8.7.
Line change into a nice Jaeger. Good first release and good handstand so far. Really rallying after the previous routine. Blindfold into a double tuck. Yep, and she sticks the landing. Good for her.
Solid routine for Corey Reckenmacher, sophomore.
That overshoot, you hit that handstand. You see, as long as they go completely vertical, that means they hit the handstand mark, and that's what the judges are looking for. Just a little past handstand on the finish of that blind full, but she definitely sold it with that double tuck that she stepped.
And back over to vault for the senior All-American Caitlin Atkinson for the Auburn Tigers.
Very nice. So Caitlin did a Yurchenko 1.5 at a small hop at the end. But the thing that she has going for her is that a 1.5 is harder. So it starts at that 10.0 where the other routines haven't on vault so far. The other vaults started in a 9.95. So she had just a little bit. She opened up a little bit earlier. She probably could have stuck it, but it's still an amazing vault.
And with that degree of difficulty, that deduction will come from a higher point.
Yes, it will.
And out to finish out the bars for the Kentucky Wildcats, Sydney Dukes. Her teammate, Corey Reckenmacher's score posted 9.775.
She had a good toe handstand with a Tkachev connection there. A little short on the handstand. First pack salto we've seen of the day. Again, just a little short on the handstand, but that'll improve as season goes by. And finishes off with a very nice double out. Knew just how to open at the end and took that small step. Good pack salto. You can see a little bit of a form error in the air. Her legs come apart, but still very beautiful high release.
And the dismount.
And she opens right there. It's really actually a difficult thing to learn, to open your hips like that. So eventually, as season goes by, she gets more comfortable. It'll really help her stick that landing.
Sydney Dukes last week won the all-around in her collegiate debut with a 39.125. Our first event is over. The Auburn Tigers and the Kentucky Wildcats. You're watching SEC Gymnastics on the SEC Network. And we welcome you back to Auburn Arena. Jeff Shear along with Megan Walker. And Megan, this is the second of 3 meets in an 8-day span for the Auburn Tigers. Oregon State last week. Next Sunday, they'll be up in Birmingham against Alabama. Let's take a look at some action of Auburn against Oregon State.
Yeah, that's Abby Millay on the bars that you see there. She stuck that dismount, had a great first meet. And Alexis there on the beam. They just know how to compete, and you're seeing it already tonight. They did a great job against Oregon State, got off on the right foot for the season.
Second highest score for a season opener in program history, and a road win against a top 12 team, and that's vaulted these Auburn Tigers into the top 10, now ranked number 7. And you see the scores from last week.
It's great. You can see they got those 49s, which is something you really want right out of the gate. And even saw that vault from Caitlin Atkinson with the 1.5. That went 9.925 last week. It's just phenomenal.
Well, in the first event, the Auburn Tigers on vault with a 49.2. Thanks to some solid vaults from Emma Engler, Lexis Demers, and a Miracle Phillips there.
It's a very nice start for them. As you can see, they build upon what they did last week. Their score was a 49.125 on vault last week, and they went up to a 49.2. So it seems like they got back in the gym and fixed those little things that they needed to work on.
And you see the Kentucky score there on the bars, 48.625. So if you're Jeff Graba, what's your message to your team after the first event going into the bars now?
Just tell them to keep on going. They've got the ball rolling. They want to stay in it. They got that 49.2, but they got to do the same thing. Different girls up on bars, different feelings. You know, vault is an adrenaline event, and you get to feel that energy, really use it. And bars is a rhythm event, so you really have to take a deep breath, slow it down, feel the routine, and just do what you know how to do.
What's going through Jeff Graba's mind? You spent many years with him.
I did. I had the pleasure of being a gymnast under Jeff for 4 wonderful years. And if I know Jeff, he's probably thinking about something not really fully related to bars. He likes to be relaxed. He was a gymnast once himself. And at this point in time, it really isn't in his hands anymore. It's up to the girls. So it's his job to stay relaxed, kind of enjoy the moment too.
The Auburn Tigers' next event will be bars. Kentucky Wildcats will be on the vault. With a podium meet coming up. Tell us the difference between the meet here tonight and a podium meet Sunday in Birmingham.
The Elevate the Stage meet that will happen in Birmingham on Sunday is a podium meet with Auburn and Alabama. And the podium puts the girls up about 4 feet in the air, and it completely changes the feel of the equipment. It makes everything more bouncy, gives you more power. So for a team like Auburn, where they're known for their power and their energy, it's kind of a management game. And you can see on vault right now with Kentucky, 5 of their 6 girls are all freshmen, which is kind of rare to see that, but it definitely means they get out there and get some experience right at the start of season.
This is Marissa Buechler.
She started that off well, and her teammates are so excited. It's always awesome and super fun to see. She had great full. Would have been a little bit better. She got those feet together at the end, but really, other than that, there's just not much wrong with it. She had a great pre-flight. That's what we call when they get their hands first on the horse. Little pikey at the end, but knew where she was and really seemed to enjoy it.
And a big blue celebration after that. And Auburn on the bars will be Kelsey Kopech starting out. Tell us about Kelsey.
Kelsey is actually a redshirt junior, so she'll be coming back next year for senior year, even though technically the girls in the senior class are what she'd consider her freshman year class. But she is known for having this great release move, very clean lines, and really fun to watch on this event. Blind change into her Jaeger coming up here, right into an overshoot. Very nice there. Good handstand there, and all that's left is the dismount. Lining up for that double layout. And a nice dismount, just a very small step, but you can tell she's happy with it. Good height on the Jaeger, good swing over on the overshoot. Really nice form in her dismount, and just really just the smallest of movements on that landing.
And you see how Kelsey, how pleased she is with that effort.
Yes, she is. She loves to enjoy the moment.
9-7 for Buechler, and here is Alex Highland. And when you struggle on your first event, you put more pressure on yourself here at number 2.
It's true. You definitely do. You have to keep that in mind, but looks like they're handling it well. It's another nice full. Probably could have had a little bit more amplitude in the air. You always want to go as high as you can and get some distance away from the vault, but the landings are good, so that'll definitely help them. Finishes pretty much in the center of the vault too, so I mean she had good direction and good timing with her twist.
Alex Highland for Kentucky. And now we'll see Taylor Krippner for the Auburn Tigers on the bars.
As you watch this bar set, what you see will be difficulty. She'll do 2 release moves connected right off the bat, right here. A nice shaposh into an overshoot. But she's not done. She's going to do another release move. A very nice handstand there. And a Tkachev. Another beautiful handstand. She is locking those out. All that's left is the dismount. Full out, and she stuck it. Very nice. Not too bad for the freshman.
And the Auburn Arena, as loud as we've heard it tonight there for Taylor Krippner, following up on Kelsey Kopech's 9.825.
Great start for the Tigers, for sure. Definitely giving them a lot of confidence through this evening. Great dismount. Really excited about it. That's awesome.
Meanwhile, Alex Hyland with a 9.75 on vault.
You can see those scores are climbing, which is exactly what the coaches want to see.
Happy to see Alex after she took the fall there on the bars. And here's Danae Davis.
She took those running steps out of it, which she's not going to be happy with, but that is a unique vault. You rarely see it in the NCAA. So most of the girls do what's called a Yurchenko vault. That is a front handspring onto the board, a front handspring onto the horse. You'll see it here. 1 front handspring, 2 front handsprings, and then she does a front tuck out of it. And so this is where that rule change comes in, and teams are trying to get more variety and different set of difficulty into their vault lineups.
So a difficult attempt by her for her
Yeah,
routine?
definitely a great attempt, and honestly, I'd say she could probably start piking it because she's got so much energy. Another freshman, Emma Engler, in the lineup now. A really nice start to the bar routine with a Jaeger. This is her first competitive bar set for Auburn. She exhibitioned last week at Oregon State. Really pretty lines. It's one of the things you look for on this event, and she's got them. Just held on a little bit too long with the shapes to stick that dismount, but overall a really great routine.
Kopech and Krippner with 9.825s, and here's Emma Engler.
Beautiful release move. Very technically correct, great height. It's just nice to watch.
What do you see on the dismount?
Really good and open, but she piked down at the end, probably because she wasn't truly confident as to where she was in the air. She'd held on just a second longer, she probably would have stuck it, but she'll learn that.
And here's Katie Stewart for Kentucky.
One of the things you'll notice is that the girls will be trying their best to keep their energy up, and that's something you really have to focus on after you've had an event that you struggled on. You got to make sure you stay positive and focus on what's next to come. This is another good full. You know, she's a little bit off center, so she might have started twisting a little bit early, but a very controlled landing even with the step. You can see she's pretty good on, but just comes a little bit to the right of the back end of the horse and toward the end.
How easy is that to do to get offline there?
It's pretty easy. You start that full just 1 second too early, a millisecond really, and it can send you off course.
And here's Kate Clues on bars for Auburn.
She's a senior, and she is known for how consistent she is on her events. She rarely misses a routine in a meet setting, and is somebody the team can rely on when there's pressure. Already hit her big release move and that bar change called a straddled back. Just a little tiny bit short on those handstands, but a nice double out, and she stuck that landing.
Beautiful landing for Kate Clues.
Definitely happy with it. Look at that smile. Comes back on the straddle back, good in the handstand. Nice open hips in this dismount. She just sees that ground, knows she's already there. You can see her smiling before she even hit the ground.
On ball for the Wildcats, Auburn.
Big smile for Kate Clues. And here's Aubrey Rosa after Katie Stewart scored a 9.8.
She had some power in that vault. Her teammate came back with a 9.8, and she just kept the ball rolling. She did a nice vault, going to want to work on controlling that landing, but really knows how to flare, open up the vault at the end so that she can, in the future, be able to control that a little bit better. You see she opens her arms right here. If she opens them a little bit earlier, she can probably control that landing. It's something she'll work on, but still she looks happy and she's smiling.
Abby Millay up now after Kate Cruz with a 9.875 after that beautiful landing.
Abby Millay is a sophomore. Had a good start to her freshman year, competed on bars and beam consistently. And she's just known for her form, and she's got some big tricks in there. That's a release move called a ray, and not many people do it. Very high pat salto. And even added that uphill to the high bar, which is new for her for this year. Clean double back, and just a small step, but really a clean set from her in that 5th spot. Does that change to the high bar? Good swing out of it. Sometimes if you come off that bar just a little bit too early, it can be hard to get that next skill up because you've cut your swing off.
From Tyler, Texas, the freshman Sydney Dukes. Mentioned she won the all-around last week against Ball State.
That was a nice layout half. So that's very interesting, Bob. That's one of the layout halves that you can do. If you turn too late, it doesn't start at a 10, but if you turn at the very start, it starts at a 10.0.
And Caitlin Atkinson, speaking of all-around, something that Caitlin did so many times last season during that Super 6 season. And here's Caitlin last week out in Corvallis.
That was her toe handstand, and she just got those toes on a little too early. First meet jitters, just tightening up a little bit. You want to be aggressive when you're in that bar routine, and so that's something she'll be looking to do today.
Abby Millay with a 9.8 on bars.
Good handstand to start. There you go. She did that toe hand, and not a problem this week. Up next will be her single bar release. This is a requirement. And a nice Takacha from her. All that's left is her dismount. And watch out for it because it will be huge. And a huge stick. She goes so high in that dismount. I don't know anybody else in the NCAA, in elite gymnastics, or in club that can flip as high as she can. Right to handstand in that overshoot. And just really rocks this dismount. She gets above, she's almost into the ceiling, I swear. It's so great.
Airtime for Caitlin Atkinson, the Auburn All-American senior, the leader of the Tiger Gymnasts. We're halfway home for the home opener for Jeff Graba. We're back after this. Here at Auburn, they say War Eagle. You see the student section rocking here at Auburn Arena, making noise and cheering their Tigers, who are in the lead so far after that second rotation.
Kentucky had a really nice pull there, and Auburn had some big bar routines and some nice stuck dismounts, which is really important, especially as you get your feet wet at the start of the season. Another nice layout pull from Kentucky, and you see back to those stuck dismounts over on the Auburn side.
With Caitlin Atkinson closing it out with the first 9.9 of the night. So Auburn on bars with a 49.25, and now the Tigers warming up, getting ready for their beam routines. 49.25, and you see Auburn with the lead, 98.45 to 97.45 for Kentucky in this always hotly contested Southeastern Conference.
Definitely always very competitive here in the SEC. It doesn't matter which school you're going to. If you're going to an SEC school, expect it to be a hard competition and anybody's night.
It's a football conference, we all know that. It's also a gymnastics conference, as these numbers bear out. 10 of the past 11 national championships, including 5 straight and 3 in a row, from the swamp down in the Florida Gators.
The Gators have been on fire, and something interesting to note as the Tigers head into beam, what used to be Auburn's beam coach, Jenny Rowland, is now the head coach at Florida. So we have Auburn has a new beam coach, Coach Mary McDaniel, who used to be the beam coach for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Lots of crossover in the conference. Hey, no pressure on Jenny or anything. Just take over a team that's won 3 straight national championships.
No pressure at all, that's for sure.
And how about the Southeastern Conference teams in the top 25? All 8 schools in the conference which field a gymnastics program ranked in that top 25, led by LSU and then the Florida Gators. Alabama and Auburn, who will compete fewer than 48 hours from now. The Tide and the Tigers going at it in Birmingham this weekend.
I was fortunate enough to compete in the SEC, and there's an experience nothing like it, because as you can even hear in this arena right now, it gets loud and people are energetic, and we love gymnastics here in the SEC. There's the new assistant coach, Coach Mary McDaniel, who was formerly with the Kentucky Wildcats and now boasts the navy and burnt orange instead. But the girls seem to have adjusted fairly well to having a new coach, and you know, it's got to be an adjustment for her too, switching teams, but it's just how it goes. It's the name of the game.
So Mary McDaniel, well acquainted with both of these programs. 4 years in Lexington, and now she's here in Auburn, Alabama. The lineup for the Auburn Tigers on the beam, as we see Caitlin Atkinson practicing there. She will be the anchor woman after Cullen Lawick, Krippner, Engler, Demers, Abby Millay, and then Caitlin. That's the Auburn lineup on the beam. And on the floor for the Kentucky Wildcats, that'll be their next event.
You could see in that lineup for the Auburn Tigers, they had a good mix of every single class being on that event.
And it's Amy Romilly, Rosa, Stewart, Phipps, Taylor Puryear, and the freshman Sydney Dukes. What does that say about Sydney to be batting cleanup, so to speak, as a freshman?
She's in the anchor spot, but this isn't the first time she's been in the anchor spot. She was the anchor on vault and bars, which means she has a lot of talent and they really trust her. That's definitely important, and great confidence boost for her too, that knowing that the coaches and the team fully trust her to be in that anchor spot.
Give us a snapshot in the difference of these events in terms of one's an energy event, one's a rhythm event. What are beam and floor?
Beam and floor are polar opposites. Beam, you have to be aggressive, but it's a controlled aggressiveness. You have to be calm, collected. You have to know what you're going to do. It's very much a premeditated event. You think through it, and you try to move the same exact way every time. Floor, you build off of energy. You're trying to show those high-tailing passes, great leaps, but also show off to the crowd. And, you know, you have great floor music, and you want to be able to show it off.
We see Cullen Lawick ready to start it off for the Auburn Tigers on the beam.
This is a new spot for Cullen. Previously, this spot was held by Karen Caduce, called the leadoff position. And as she was a graduating senior, they have to find a new person who'll start the ball rolling on beam, which is hard because you have to set that ball on the right foot, but you need to be confident and clean. And with only being able to count 5 of the 6 scores, you want your first person to be confident and the most consistent person on the team. You can see she did a flight series, a layout that landed in 2 feet, which isn't very common. Most of the time you'll see a step out, which means they'll split their legs in the middle. But she didn't have a wobble, really confident up there. Called a toss into a beat jump. It's kind of like a front flip, but you take off with 1 foot and then land on 2.
And how about a little moonwalk?
Cullen has done that moonwalk since she was a club gymnast, and she loves to rock it. Round off 1.5 with the step dismount. What a start for Auburn on the beam.
You heard the reaction from the crowd. They were as happy about it as Cullen was.
This is that flight series I was talking about. She lands on 2 feet, making it more difficult. And even if she was off, she didn't let you see it. And that toss and the beat jump, she's really worked on getting that higher, and it's definitely paid off. And this 1.5 is a blind landing, which means she can't see the floor as she's going into it. So to stick it means she has great, what we call, air awareness.
And that air awareness leads to a solid start for the Auburn Tigers on the beam. And now we go to the floor with Amy Romilly.
Starting off this first pass. Nice double pike. It stays in bounds. Rudy for her second pass. It's a front 1.5 twisting salto. Really seeming to enjoy her choreography. Nice leap series. Something that all the girls will be required to do is a leap connection. Good finish with that 1.5 twist to a front layout. Nice form and good landings. That's a great start for the Kentucky Wildcats on floor.
Courtesy of Amy Romilly.
Her teammates seem to really enjoy that. She gets nice big hugs and smiling faces at the end. This is that first pass and that double pike. Good set, pretty good height, and just squeaks that foot to stay in bounds.
Next time around.
Her Rudy. Just a little bit low with that chest, but a good landing. And a nice connection pass.
Now back to the beam, and Taylor Krippner after the 9.8 from Cullen Wallach.
You'll see from Taylor in this beam routine that she is a very sharp and fine-tuned gymnast. She's pretty to watch. Her back handspring layout step out, just a slight adjustment there, but knew just keep moving through it and stayed confident. Nice leap series there, switch leap into split jump, reaching that full amplitude. So you have to hit a 180-degree split in that, and she definitely did it. A nice front aerial connection, just a little bobble at the finish of it, but really nice on the aerial movement. Setting up for the dismount. Round off 1.5. Almost stuck it. Had to take that step back, but not a bad set for the second week for this freshman.
Will Taylor be pleased with that routine?
She'll probably, she's a gymnast, so she's probably wish there were things and go back. Wouldn't rather not have had this adjustment. She was there. She was solid. She probably didn't need to move, but it comes from just learning your atmosphere and being comfortable in what you did.
A lot to build on.
A lot to build on.
And here's Aubrey Rosa on floor. Her teammate, you see the score there for Amy Romilly, 9.725.
Now on floor for the Wildcats of Kentucky, Auburn Rosa.
Starts off with a nice double layout. She had to take a step forward, just a little bit low, but really pretty in the air. Switch side to Popa for a leap series. Nice amplitude there. Some nice choreography from the Wildcats tonight. Setting up for a last pass. Front layout to a front full with a good landing. And a quick finish, and she looks happy with that routine, so do her teammates.
For Aubrey Rosa for the Kentucky Wildcats.
I know at this point of the year, the hardest part is being conditioned for the routine. And these girls don't look tired at the end. They're doing a good job of finishing their routines off well. So that's good on the part of the coaches. A nice front full and a good landing, a good set for her.
And here's Emma Engler, the freshman from Raleigh, North Carolina. Number 3 in the lineup on beam for Auburn. Her teammates, Cullen Lawwick with a 9.8 and Taylor Krippner with a 9.725. So a nice start for Auburn on beam.
Definitely. You see she started on that beam mount, supposed to do a straddle mount, and just missed her foot a little bit, but covered it well. She is a fun spirit, so she just knew to recover right away, and it obviously didn't affect her real gymnastics. That flight series was very nice and well done. Just needs to settle into this routine a little. Switch leap into that shuttle jump with a quarter turn. And a very nice side aerial. I'm getting more confident as the routine moves on, that's for sure. All that's left is to set up for the dismount. It's a back handspring into a 1.5. Just a little bit off in terms of the twist, needs a little bit more height, but a good recovery after starting off just a little bit shaky. I'm sure that made her confidence go down just a little, but really beautiful gymnastics. You see, she just needs to snap this 1.5 around just a little bit more to finish the rotation. So that'll be a slight deduction for the side step.
Now your teammates can tell you what the first home meet's like, but until you're there, until you've experienced it, you don't really know.
No, you definitely don't know what it feels like. And this stadium's pretty packed. This arena is pretty packed, especially for the first meet. Auburn Arena fills about 7,000 people, 7,700, I think. And I'd say it's pretty high up there in terms of numbers.
And the fans here making noise all night long for Auburn and Kentucky.
A stuck double pike. She seemed happy with that. Back 1.5 to front layout as her second pass. Well done. Switch ring to that wolf full. Just dancing right out of it. Rudy to finish the routine. Another great routine for Kentucky. This is her second pass here. That nice 1.5. She gets good height on this front layout and good form.
When you're putting your floor routine together, what are the most important priorities?
Well, you have to have, you don't technically have to have 3 tumbling passes, but pretty much all the routines in NCAA do. And you need to have those upper level difficulty with the Ds, and you'll see from Auburn later on some E-level passes, and you have to have that leap connection.
So Alexis Demers on the beam for Auburn.
Alexis has really grown into her own gymnast and own gymnastics here at Auburn. When she came in as a freshman in 2012, because she is a 5th-year senior, it took a little bit of time for adjustment in terms of gymnastics, and each year she's just come back and gotten better and better every routine.
She and Caitlin, one of the 2 key seniors on this team.
Yes, and a fun fact about Alexis is she grew up in Minnesota and was actually coached as a club gymnast by Coach Jeff Graber when she was younger, and then finished out her career coached by his twin brother. She has a nice set, finishes with that side aerial into back full and sticks the dismount. one of the things that a gymnast can do is you have to have what's called a C dismount on beam, and that's level of difficulty. And if you don't have a C dismount, which she did, but she decided to use a connection, so that's an aerial, that's a D, and then the back full is a B, and they kind of average together, so she gets the C value. She doesn't lose any credit for not having a more difficult dismount. So that's why you'll see some of those, just a back full dismount, but connecting to that aerial can be very difficult.
Here's Tierra Phipps on the floor for the Wildcats. You see Katie Stewart score the 9.775.
Really nice start with that round off double back. Definitely interesting because most girls do a back handspring in the middle there.
And once you're clean on that first pass, how much energy does that give you?
Definitely gives you confidence moving on. Front full into a front layout. A little close to the corner there, but she knew exactly where she was and just took that smaller lunge. You can see her teammates in the corner really cheering her on and having a good time with her. Rudy to finish 13. That was really exciting to watch. She really enjoyed herself out there. Some nice choreography too.
For Tierra Phipps.
That front full front layout, you see she stays close to that corner, but knows exactly where she is, and you see the big smile. Good run into this, Rudy. She chooses not to use a front handspring in front of it, which is just a difference between every athlete, whether they want to use that prep skill or not.
And here's Abby Millay on beam trying to follow up on Lexis Demers, who scored a 9.85.
Definitely see those scores climbing for Auburn. Abby had a good start on bars, so she'll want to keep that moving here on the bounce beam. Split jump into a sheep jump. Definitely not an easy leap there to do the sheep jump. When you go back, you can't see the beam. Actually, you're looking at the ceiling, and your feet have to come within a foot's distance of your head to get credit for the skill. Nice series. She looks very confident up on the beam today.
The floor score for Phipps, a 9.675.
Moving into a front aerial here. And connects it into a very pretty Sassone. She's really good about getting that full amplitude on her leaps, showing off her flexibility. And all that's left to do is the dismount. Abby's changed dismounts this year. She used to do a round off dismount. She's now doing what's called a gainer full off the side, and she sticks it, gets those heels together. It's a really beautiful wobble free set from Abby.
Abby Millay, would you say that you spend in your practice time equal 25% on each of the 4 events, or does it all depend?
It really depends on what your specialty is. Some gymnasts on the team only do certain events and only train certain events, whereas Caitlin does the all-around, so she has to go on all 4. But someone like Lucia Scaglione, who you'll see in the floor lineup later, she only does floors, so she spends a lot of time just polishing that floor routine.
And here's Taylor Puryear, junior from Maryland for Kentucky.
Rudy into that back layout step out, and she has so much power she doesn't even use the whole floor. A lot of sass in this routine. She seems to enjoy the choreography. Nice leap pass too. really high double back. Definitely doesn't hold back on that power at all.
An outstanding routine for the Wildcat, Taylor Perrier.
See that really high double back. Gets those arms up to set, carry her very high. Sees that landing and just has to slide that front foot with the slow down that power a little bit.
And Caitlin Atkinson, last on the beam for Auburn. And you see her teammates, Millay and Demers, with 9.85s. High scores here for Auburn on the beam.
And Caitlin is known for being very confident and very succinct on the balance beam. She will get on, do what she needs to do, and then get right back off. Flight series here. Her back layout step out. The cat leap into her front aerial. Very nice landing there, didn't have any bobbles. She'll do her leap series next. Switch leap into that pike jump, which isn't a jump usually seen very often. It's kind of a more difficult jump that really emphasizes flexibility. Finishes the routine with an aerial to a back 1.5 dismount. Is a new dismount for Caitlin this year. She used to alternate between a back 1.5 and a double pike depending on how she was feeling on the night. But with plenty of routines to do and lots of gymnastics to come, right now she's doing this side aerial into a back 1.5. Just a little of a side step, but another really great routine for the Auburn Tigers.
To close out the rotation there for Auburn on beam. So through 3 events, how pleased is Auburn, would you say?
You definitely see that there's some little things they need to clean up, but up until this point, they've done 21 routines and they've hit 21 routines.
We saw Taylor Perrier.
18.
Saw Taylor Perrier on the floor with a 9.825, and here is Sydney Dukes to close it out for the Cats.
See her anchoring this third event here. Her third event of the night. She's just a freshman. A really nice and confident double pike to start the routine. You can see that big smile she loves to present. Another stuck pass with that full front layout. Little artistry in there with what was called an illusion, a different way to do a full turn in a floor routine. Finishes with a nice double back, takes just a little bit of a step forward, showing that she was a little under-rotated. But overall, a really great floor routine. Her teammates seem happy with the way they finished the event.
Sydney Dukes.
See this double pike, really nice height, and just knows exactly where she is, sticks that landing. Here's the double tuck. And you'll see she steps forward just a little bit here. Just needs to work on finishing that rotation.
We're through 3 events with 1 more to go. It'll be the Auburn Tigers on the floor and the Cats on the beam when we come back to close it out from Auburn. Welcome back to Auburn Arena for the last rotation. It'll be the Kentucky Wildcats on beam and the Auburn Tigers on floor to close it out. And Auburn in that third rotation on the beam, adding to its lead with lots of 9.85s.
You can see all these beautiful routines that Auburn put up, and you saw Colin Lawwick in that Nice stuck dismount. Same here with Abby Millay and Lexus Demers.
Demers, Millay, and Atkinson all with 9.85s and some nice scores on the floor for the Cats.
Wildcats really showed off a lot of fun choreography. It was one of my favorite parts. A little bit of cleaning up to do on their tumbling, but managing to show off some really great routines and some nice gymnastics.
And now the Tigers on the floor with Lucia Scaglione to start it out. One of those specialists that you talked about.
Yes, Lucia started, she is now a junior, and last week she had her first ever start for Auburn on floor in taking over that lead position. This is her at Oregon State last week. Starts off that E pass, and this is a new pass for her. It's a double tuck, and it's not one of the hardest passes that you'll see in the NCAA, but for her it was a mountain. And the fact that she did exactly what she was supposed to do, learned it over the summer, put it in the routine, was a really great opportunity for her.
And you saw that giant smile, and she contributed to Auburn's second highest season opening score in program history. So a great start for the Tigers last week out on the road against Oregon State. And here she is on the floor to kick off the last event for Auburn. And meanwhile, the Kentucky Wildcats will be on the beam with Montana Whittle, Romilly, Rosa, Reckenmacher, Dukes, and Highland.
After coming off the floor, Kentucky's just going to need to calm down and really center their focus on the balance beam, because it is right after an adrenaline event like floor. It's kind of hard to really get back in that zone to have the same energy you need for the balance beam.
Auburn with the lead of pretty wide margin, 147.525 to 146.275 here going into the final event. And a reminder, tomorrow's a rest day, but right back at it tomorrow against Sunday rather in Birmingham, the podium meet against the Alabama Crimson Tide.
You'll see we'll get started on beam first. That's how this always goes. No matter what, beam goes before floor. That way the home team can finish with their last floor routine of the night.
And this is Amy Romilly.
Starting off with that full turn, every single gymnast is required to do a full turn on one foot in their beam routine.
You mentioned how Caitlin Atkinson gets on and gets off. What are the minimum and the maximum?
Well, you have to stay on the beam for 30 seconds. I think that's the requirement. But you cannot stay on the beam any longer than a minute and a half. You had a very nice leap series there. It's difficult to land sideways on the beam because you don't get to grip your toes just like you would if you were just like she is in this position. Really interesting series there. She just side aerial into a back swing down, which if you're a little bit off, I tell you, that can be a very tricky skill. There's nice rhythm throughout this routine, and flashes a little smile at the judges. She goes into that forward moving dismount called a gainer pike. And she is super excited about that routine.
As are her teammates, so a great start for Amy on the beam.
That dismount is very difficult to get away from the beam.
Montana Whittle, I stand corrected. I was calling her Amy. Amy's second on the beam, but that was actually Montana Whittle. So my apologies to Montana.
This is Lucia, you'll see next on floor. When I said earlier about that second pass you see, it's not that pass is actually difficult for Lucia. She's great at it. The thing you have to remember about gymnastics is it's half a mental game. A lot of energy and a lot of spunk you'll see from her. That double full punch front, really nice connection pass, an E to an A, means it's very hard. Here's a double back I was telling you about. As you can see, it's sky high and super easy for her. really showing off those dance moves and enjoying the moment. Finishing off with a Rudy, just a little off center.
Meantime, a 9.725 there on the beam for Montana Whittle.
They'll definitely be happy with that first routine on floor for Auburn.
Combination of tumbling, dancing, choreography.
Her floor routine's interesting because she does a lot of what we call shapes. So you can go forward in a layout, you can go forward in a tuck, you can go backwards and double flip, and she does a great mix of all three. Finish off this Rudy. You see a little bit crooked in the twist. Probably could have done more twists if she wanted to.
So after the 9.725 from Montana Whittle, here's Amy Ronelli.
She looks very focused. One of the things you really have to get ready for when you go on beam. Just get in your own zone. Take your time. Sometimes you just gotta wait for the judges to give you the score and give you the go-ahead.
And how difficult is that?
It really, sometimes it can mess with just how you're preparing. You're expecting, that typical, 30 seconds after you've waited for another routine, and probably one of the coaches just told her to relax for a second, take a step back, and don't get yourself too stressed before you're going. The longer you wait there, you start thinking, and you don't want to think. Just want to go. Starts off this flight series. Really pretty mechanism layout, just a slight movement on it, but she covered it very well. There's that shoot jump. You'll notice in the background you hear a more calm music. Most teams, just a little off on that side aerial, made her lose her balance and had to fight for it, but she definitely did. And that's one of the most important things you'll learn on beam is if you're off, you gotta fight. You hear this quiet music in the background meant to calm the gymnast down and help them stay focused and on their routine. Finishes with a 1.5, slight hop after it, but good fight to stay on that beam.
Did a great job of staying up there.
Yeah. Sometimes you can feel like there's a whole whirlwind going on around you. This is her side aerial here. She turns sideways, but she does not put her hands on the beam, so that means it will not count as a fall. It'll just be the deduction for the wobble and the change of direction.
So a nice recovery there for Amy. And here's Abby Millay. After Scaglione with a 9.75 to start it off for Auburn on the floor.
Abby has typically been a bars and beam specialist in the past in her freshman year, and now she's making those debuts on other events, and you'll see her here now. First pass, front layout to Rudy. She looks happy with it. Very elegant routine, lots of flexibility. Good second pass, that 1.5 front layout. As you can see, showing off that flexibility. finishing off with a double tuck. A little bit under-rotated, covers it very well.
Abby Millay.
That front layout to Rudy. Really good job of waiting to start that twist. Sometimes you connect those passes. It can be hard to be patient and just let your body feel the floor and feel that rhythm.
And we go back to the beam. After Amy's 9.525, here's Aubrey Rosa.
Getting that requirement of that full turn right out of the way to start with. And you'll see that two-footed layout, very nice. You saw that from Cullen Lawick earlier from Auburn. Seems really confident on the beam. A little bit short on that front aerial, but managed to cover it very well. Kentucky has nice rhythm throughout all of their routines, and they have very elegant dance moves. And finishes with that series into a dismount. Definitely a different thing you don't see very often. She did a back handspring two-footed layout earlier in the routine, and then did another series with this back handspring into a layout step out into her back full. So that was the series with the two-footed layout. And now you see this dismount. She does the step out and then goes right into her dismount with that back full, which again, as I said earlier, is one of those easier dismounts, but because she's connecting it to something harder, she still gets the value.
Aubrey Rosa from Covina, California, yet another freshman for the Kentucky Wildcats. And here's Kate Clues on the floor. Big smile there.
Yeah, she is known for her power, and she gets high, especially in the moment. Uses that adrenaline to her advantage.
What went into your selection of music when you were on floor?
Well, when you're on floor, you want something that pumps up, it gets the crowd engaged, but also just depends on your athlete. Kate is more of a pose and move sharp kind of gymnast, whereas Abby, you saw, had more of those fluid movements, and the coaches take that into mind when they pick the floor music.
.975 for Rosa there on the beam for Kentucky.
She finished just a little short on that double back. But still a great set, and that full in will be hard to forget, that first pass.
Terrific beginning for Kate Clues and a solid floor routine.
See this full in, she'll go sky high. She's very happy with the landing. You see this double tuck, back handspring, just looks a little squashed on the floor. Makes it so her set isn't as high as she'd like it, so she has to take that step forward.
And some great support from your teammates.
Always, they're always there for you.
And here's Corey Reckenmacher on the beam for the Cats.
Beat jump into that sheep jump. Got a few of those in their beam lineup today. A nice front aerial. Just get that acro skill done nice and easy. Very solid on the beam today, and that Beautifully done flight series, her handspring layout. That's that switch leap with a half turn, very difficult to do on the balance beam. She did it wonderfully. And the pike gainer dismount, just a small hop, but a very well done beam routine from the Kentucky Wildcats.
And Corey Reckenmacher.
That front area, you see her arms finish very quickly. She puts them down, says, I'm done with that skill, moving on. Nice height and good distance away from that beam is difficult to do on that dismount. You see Cullen coming up here next on floor. And not only is Cullen, you know, just spending her time doing incredible gymnastics, but she's also an engineer. Doesn't make the job easier on herself.
A student athlete, right? Like so many of you great Auburn and SEC student athletes.
Starts with a huge Arabian double front, and she's so happy about that. It's a great job. It's a new floor routine for Cullen this year, and she's showing it off. Watch her crowd-pleasing moonwalk right then. She's a junior, and each year she keeps improving these routines. Comes up a little short on that double back.
Cullen Lowick
She'll be a little
away.
frustrated with the way that routine ended, but started off really great with those first two passes.
Here's that first one.
That Arabian double front, a really difficult skill. Blind landing as she sticks it. And then you'll see this double back here. Almost looks like she tried to control it a little bit and just let go of her legs a little too early, cut the rotation.
And here's Sydney Dukes competing in the all-around, her fourth event of the night for the Wildcats.
Really beautiful leap there from Sydney. Nice series. Just a little correction there. One of the things the gymnasts have to do on beam is they have to show levels. So they have to be low on the beam just like that where she squatted down, and they have to go high. Better to touch your leotard to the beam so you really show that you can go up and down and feel comfortable in all levels on the beam.
In the meantime, that stumble at the end of Cullen's routine resulted in a 9.65.
Missed that jump just a little bit, little shaky there. A slight hop on the dismount. A good routine.
How about Sydney Dukes, just a freshman competing in all-around? What does that say about her?
Obviously, she's a lot of talent, and to be able to come out here, and it's only her second meet, and she still hit 4 for 4. You know, she probably would want that routine to go just a little bit better. But it's great to get out there, start getting the experience now, so by the time they get to March and April and the postseason comes up, she'll be settled in and comfortable with all of her routines.
Here's MJ Rote on the floor, number 5 in the lineup for the Tigers. And we see the scores of the 4 gymnasts who have preceded her in this event.
See that huge double out from MJ. She is known for her massive power, and she will present this floor routine. out front layout to a front pike for her combination pass. This routine and several of the routines for the girls was choreographed by former Auburn gymnast Rachel Innes.
Meantime, a 9-7 for Sydney Dukes there on the beat.
Just the last pass left. And she finishes a really, really well done double pike.
A crowd-pleasing routine for MJ Rote.
She knows how to get the entire crowd involved and her teammates. Everybody loves watching her perform. See this triple salto pass. Lots of airtime for her no matter which pass she's doing. And that double pike right here, she doesn't even use up the whole floor.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, on being, please welcome for the University of
MJ Rote for Auburn. And now back for the final score of the night for Kentucky. It's Alex Highland on the beat. Such a difference in music when you go from floor to beat.
Definitely. You want to try to keep the energy conducive to the routine that the girls are doing. Cat lead to that very well done front aerial, and she does a back handspring out of it, so that will also count as her flight series. Flight series means that you connect two skills, and one of them has to have no hands or experience flight.
Not that it's hard enough to be on that tiny little beam.
Right. Let's throw in requirements like, no hands.
And a 9.8 for MJ Rote to score on the floor.
She does that side aerial into a back full, which you saw from Lexus Demers earlier. A really nice finish for the Wildcats on beam. She looked very confident. This very pretty and calm front aerial. She didn't rush any part of it. And that back handspring for that flight series. And this side aerial into a tucked back full and easily stuck it.
Alex Highland, a strong finish for the Cats, and back to the floor, Lexus Demers.
Always has some sass in these floor routines, as you can see. Just comes off a little short on that full in. Has to quickly catch up with the floor music. She'll try to recover with this second pass here. And she does very nicely with that front layout front full. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting back out there to do that next pass. You can see her breathing, trying to make sure she's saving enough energy for this last pass. Finishes off with a nice double back. And she won't be happy with that routine, but half the battle is just finishing the set if it hasn't gone your way.
Which she did quite well. Here's Lexus Demers that first time around.
She just did not have enough rotation going into that. Didn't get enough air time. Needed to flip a little bit more. She'll go back into the gym and fix that, and I'm sure you won't see that mistake again.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's
We'll take a break. We'll have the final score for you when we come back. Auburn victorious tonight over Kentucky. Back at Auburn Arena, you hear the familiar War Eagle. Auburn and Kentucky tonight. Checking out some action from that fourth rotation with the Kentucky Wildcats on the beam and the Auburn Tigers on the floor.
Some really nice artistry from Kentucky on the beam. And some nice solid sets to finish off the night for them. And you saw some big power and big skills from the Auburn Tigers. They are known for some high difficulty and high tumbling.
Kentucky on the beam with a 48.85. Auburn on the floor a 48.75. Their lowest of the four events. And you see the final scores. Auburn victorious tonight, 196.275 to Kentucky's 195.125. Megan, what do you see there?
It's definitely not how they'd want to finish the night with that set. But overall, they had a great meet, and both teams will have a lot to build off of.
And it's a quick turnaround for the Auburn Tigers. They'll be in Birmingham against Alabama coming up Sunday afternoon. A victory tonight for the Auburn Tigers. So for Megan Walker, I'm Jeff Shear saying so long from Auburn Arena. The final score in favor of the Auburn Tigers. Our next telecast on the SEC Plus Network will be Thursday, January 21st at 6, women's basketball. Second-ranked South Carolina versus Auburn. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games on our family of networks, log on to WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of the SEC and the ESPN Network.